Hey y'all, I'm Tim and welcome to the MrMaple Show. Today we've got the privilege, we're touring Robin Gardner's private gardens here in Canada. So we're so excited to be here with the Maple Society, and today we're shooting a top 5 maples with Robin. Robin, where are you from?
Actually, I'm from the mid part of Scotland, called Perthshire, and I've been here in Canada basically since 1965. I trained originally as a forester in Scotland and came out to Canada. Then I took a scientific expedition to South America, went back to Scotland, and then was invited to come to work on a particular project here in Canada, Western Canada.
So you were originally from Scotland, you live now in Canada. You're how many miles from Point Roberts?
Oh, we're 4 blocks from Point Roberts.
So he's 4 blocks from the United States.
Yeah,
from
but
the parallel.
It's a piece of the United States that's not actually attached to the United States.
And we're here checking out Japanese maples. So guys, get excited. I mean, Robin's the guy who works hard to get the newsletter out for the Maple Society each and every time. If you know the Maple Society, those newsletters are so fun and exciting each and every time you open them. Lately, Robin's been the guy the last few years who's been him and Yalma Vargas has been working hard to get that out there for y'all. So this is the guy you can thank for that. So how many years have you been growing Japanese maples?
Well, my career took kind of a turn from being involved with plant material. After Expo 86, where I was the horticulturalist, I ended up running part of the local convention center. And so I ended up sort of looking after buildings, and then I got into emergency management. And the last 10 years I've been running the provincial mobile hospital. So there was a long period when I wasn't involved with plant material. So this is really a sort of return in my last decade. So we've been here since 1991, but really totally involved with the garden in the last 5 years.
All right, guys, so let's jump right into it.
Number 5.
Robin, what's your number 5 maple?
Number 5, it could easily be number 1, but number 5 is actually this plant here, Acer tegmentosum, Joe Witt. And this plant actually recognizes the work that was done by Joe Witt when he was director of the Washington Arboretum. And it's a striped bark maple. It's done surprisingly well, and you can see actually this started off only 2 or 3 feet tall. Now it's 8, 9 feet tall, very vigorous, free of scale. Really a nice striped bark maple.
I love the snake bark maples. They're one of those things that adds such an interesting thing out in the landscape. They look just like a snake skin, but the more you look at it, there's such intricate patterns. You can almost get lost just looking through all the patterns on the snake bark, on the bark itself. It gives a good winter interest. Snake barks have those bigger leaves, and Joe Witt's one of those selections that really is special because it has one of the best bark of any of the snake bark selections.
It does.
It's hard to beat that one for a snake bark selection because it's just so outstanding with its unique patterns.
Number 4. Then my next plant.
Your number 4?
My number 4. Again, could be my number 1. There's a version of it over there, Acer circinatum, the native vine maple.
Yeah.
It has such beautiful fall color, hardy, vigorous grower, needs some overstory. Typically it's in its native setting, it's underneath conifer, but really a nice plant.
Our very first trip to Oregon, Matt and I went around all the mall parking lots and collected bags and bags of circinatum seed.
Right.
And we thought it was the coolest thing ever. We went up to Mount Hood and saw the trees in perfect fall color up there. And just seeing what, when Lewis and Clark came, seeing what they saw.
Right.
And when Persh was there with them and said, Acer circinatum and pinned it on a paper.
Yeah. Yeah.
So cool to see that sort of part of history. But
and now, of course, not only is the native seedling plants, but there's quite a few selections.
There are.
successful differences.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's dwarfs, there's hybrids with Japanese maples like Pacific Fire.
Yeah.
I mean, some really cool trees for a lot of gardeners to be able to enjoy in their garden.
I have a Pacific Fire too, actually, here, which I just got, not even planted.
My personal favorite is Herbsphere.
Yeah.
It's one that does well for us in the south, grows vigorously, and has a really good fall color.
Right.
And we've got a gorgeous one at Maplewood Gardens in North Carolina that's just thriving and doing well.
Yeah. Definitely a must-have plant. Number 3.
All right, Robin, we were down to your number 3.
Yeah, so number 3, Acer japonicum, Emmett's pumpkin. Just mine has been a wonder in terms of its fall color, but a really vigorous grower. I've been very happy with the plant. Mind you, it's on a good rootstock.
Yeah.
I don't know which rootstock, but it's certainly providing good vigor to the rest of the plant.
Japonicum Emmett's pumpkin, that's one of the japonicums that I like because it is more vigorous than some of the other japonicums.
Yes.
And it seems to get out there for us. It's got the real long, elongated leaf.
Right.
Where it's still rounded, but really elongated. And in the fall, when it lights up, there's that pumpkin orange.
Yes.
It's pretty spectacular.
It is spectacular. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 2. So my next choice is one that goes back to the days when I was the city forester for the city of Vancouver, and was planted as a street tree, Acer capidosicum.
Yeah.
I have some capidosicum aureum seedlings, but they're not coming true.
Yeah.
Which I suppose is not surprising. But it's a almost pest-free plant.
Yeah.
No aphids, no scale. Really, I think a plant everybody should consider.
Yeah. I mean, the Colosseum maple, Acer capidosicum, it's a hardy tree. I know they've got a capidosicum aureum at the J.C. Rowson Arboretum. And when you see it in the springtime,
it's spectacular.
Spectacular. You give it a little bit of sunlight, it is a bright yellow out there.
Yes.
And I love the yellow color. But, I mean, Acer capidosicum rubrum is one that leaves out with a red color.
Yeah.
And there's some selections that really are lost to time when it comes to Acer capidosicum. It's one that's overlooked nowadays.
I think it is.
But
yes.
it's a really hardy tree. And it's really closely related to something like Acer amplum or Acer longipiece gold coin. And many collectors may be familiar with those. Very closely related. They're in section platinoidea. Easy tree to grow though.
Yes.
Really pest free.
Yes. So I think definitely should be on people's lists.
Definitely, I love
And
that tree.
last but not least, and finally, number 1, least, Acer macrophyllum. It's in decline in British Columbia. We don't really know why, but as a native plant, I think it's a heroic stature in most cases. People have cut it down and call it a weed tree. I disagree.
Yeah.
I think it's a plant that should be respected. It's not the easiest of things to propagate,
Yeah.
funnily enough. Despite its rugged stature, I have not had good success growing it from seed.
I know when you're starting to collect seed too, sometimes you need gloves on because those hairs.
Yeah,
The hairs are so,
Yeah.
I mean, they can almost get into your hand when you're collecting the seed.
Pubescence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, such a big leaf on the big leaf maple. It's one of the biggest, I mean, it turns into a really large stature tree. For the longest time, one of the biggest maples in the world was a big leaf maple.
By circumference or
Yeah.
by height.
By height and circumference.
Yeah.
I mean, just the cubic size of the tree.
Yeah.
And amazing how big these things can get. Now there's some cool selections like Seattle Sentinel, Mocha Rose, Kumbala, if I pronounced that correctly.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And so many cool selections of those that people could possibly grow in their gardens. But it's one that people overlook a lot of times, I think, because it's a tree that grows in the Pacific Northwest. And it's not always easiest to grow in containers.
No.
And so it's hard for the nurserymen to have that available
Right.
for people to grow out in the garden. But if you get a chance to get a big tooth maple, big leaf maple out there in your garden, that's something you should definitely do.
Yeah. So that's my five selections. It's a bit kind of eclectic in terms of its choices, but
That's why I said, hey, Robin, you want to shoot this? Because I knew it'd be something unique and something that a lot of people hadn't heard of.
right.
And that's the kind of fun thing about talking to different people. because this is a plant show about people. So we're talking about plants, but at the same time, you're getting to meet Robin Gardner, part of the Maple Society, integral part here. And so it's so cool. I appreciate you having us today. And y'all, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And as always, take care, God bless, and have a great day.
Thank you, Tim.